Welcome back to BetOnTCREG. We are back with another episode, and we said that season 2 was going to be 10 times, 20 times, 30 times better than season 1, and I am here with the remarkable, outstanding, phenomenal Chase Sloan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Randy. I am here with the excellent, the diligent, Mr. Consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Randy and Bugay, you guys, we are so excited to be here. Like Randy said, we're not just back with another episode. We're back with an entirely new season. And something that we want to do differently is really use this as an opportunity to teach.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously.
And I think one of the things with season 1 is that we were comfortable. The value was great, right? Yet we were sitting down and kind of having a relaxed conversation about it. But what we're seeing happen in the market, in real estate, just in our conversations in our community, is it's time to take action, right? It's time to attack the day and to win the day and to really find out what exactly do I need to do to move out of theory and shift into practice.
Practicality.
Practicality, practice, curriculum.
We want to make sure that you're taking as much action as necessary to live the life that you desire.
Absolutely. So one of the first things that we start with is winning the day. This whole idea of how do we design and live and create a life that we actually are living, right? Going out of concept, right?
Yeah.
And something I noticed, Randy, and you guys can chop in the comments and tell us if you relate, is that a lot of times the vision is there, but then the steps is where it gets muddy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think even within my life, like if somebody's going to give me like a task, I need to make sure like I know exactly what to do. It just adds a lot of clarity. So I'm not just making it up. They're not making it up. They're giving me a series of steps to say, do this, and do this, and your life will improve.
And coaching with you, Randy, is something that I have even had to learn just as a coach and as a leader. And am I giving out an assignment and a task to do, or are we just kind of talking about the concept of it all? And then we have a great meeting and everybody walks away kind of twiddling their thumbs like, okay, so what do I do actually? And this isn't just in our lives, right? This is also as it relates to real estate for our clients, our buyers and our sellers. We're finding the same thing. We're getting feedback that even though there are YouTubes and podcasts and channels that a lot of our customers still don't know what to do. So we're here to solve that problem. And not just today, we're gonna carry the conversation throughout the show and throughout the season. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and add us as a friend, add us on Facebook, add us on Instagram, add us on TikTok. We're gonna have all of that information for you. So let's jump in real quick right now into winning the day. Now there are 5 things I believe that you should focus on as it relates to winning the day. And the reason why winning the day is important, Randy, is because you win the day, you win the week. And when you win your week, you win the month. And when you win the months, you win the year. And so it's really important that even in winning the day, Randy, that we focus on winning the morning. So walk me through your morning. Kind of what does that look like for you?
To be honest, first and foremost, I do actually look to pray, more so open up the Bible to understand that without that, none of this actually more so matters. And then I look to do a check-in with my fiance, soon-to-be wife, so that she's, making sure how is she doing, how is she feeling today, and then I look to check the finances because clarity. I need to know what's going on. I need to understand.
Because his banks be reconciling from the weekend.
Look, I need to make sure that Sunday fun day ain't breaking.
Savings to checking.
Yeah. I gotta send some money in. So, and then I look to either I'm going to do a stretch or I'm going to go exercise, and then from there make sure we go to script practice to make sure that I am actually able to articulate said value and make sure that I'm consulting my clients to the highest level, and then get into the day. So it looks like team huddle with the phenomenal Chase Sloan, and then lead generate.
And what's interesting is you said a lot of things that, Randy, we finished up our huddle probably about 10 o'clock. So, there used to be a commercial, Mr. Army Man. And they used to say stuff, we get more done before 6 a.m. than most people do all day. You remember that?
I never saw that commercial. But
never remembers anything that I ever say, right? They used to say that. And here's what I've learned about highly productive people, Randy, is that they win their morning so they can win their day. It's often why you see people playing golf at 1 o'clock, really successful people, because they won their morning and they can play their day. And so I love that you walked it through it because this is alignment in what the models say. So I'm going to go to my notes real quick. I'm going to share you guys the model and basically think about what Randy said and does that align, right? So they said these are the 5 things that successful people do to win their day. They meditate and pray. They do that for spiritual energy. Eat, exercise, and sleep. Physical energy.
I slept.
You slept the night before, absolutely. Hug, kiss, and laugh, right? That's with your loved ones. That's that check-in. That's, what are you doing to generate that emotional energy? Set goals, plan, and calendar. So that's looking at your finances. And then you time block your one thing. Your one thing is, okay, what must be done? I think especially today's day and age, there's so many things calling at us, right? Be here, do this, help me, what about this? And if you don't get in control of your day, then your day controls you, right? And there are levels of good, better, and best, and yet our aim is to get all of this done by 11 a.m. And so once you are able to master that, you're really able to start having fun in your business, right? Because you've worked on your business in the morning. That's my thoughts about it. What do you think?
I think that I am a very routine type of person. And so there is a certain level of structure that I do desire within my day, just because it allows me to stay focused on the things that actually matter.
Absolutely. So we're just here to give you guys some real world application of what we do with our days and how you can start to structure it. Because here's what I know, right? It's really hard to attain this goal way out here if you're not mastering what's in front of you, right? How we do one thing is often how we do everything. And so if you let the day get away from you, and it could be a million reasons why, right? I'm better under pressure, right? I'm a night owl. I get more work done in the evening. I can do it tomorrow, maybe next week. All of those are lies that we tell ourselves to keep us from doing what actually needs to be done. And then it starts compounding in the opposite way, right? So you lose the morning, you lose the day.
Diminishing returns.
You lose the day, you lose the week. You lose the week, you lose the month, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you've lost a year.
Yes.
And so our goal is to get you guys active and start doing the work that's necessary, because you'll find that all of these dots connect, right? So how does it connect, Randy? What does this have to do with real estate?
What does it have to do with real estate, Chase? Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So one of the reasons why we're talking about this and why Randy's even talking about looking at your finances, because a lot has happened in the Houston real estate market in this past year, right? So we've gone through summer, we've had the spring selling season, and one of the things that's really important is that Houston's market is changing towards a more balanced market. So the last time that you listened to us, or if you go back to season 1, we were still in a highly seller's market. I'm gonna be honest, it didn't take much to get your home sold, right? We saw plenty of people that were getting their home sold with no inspections, no repairs, because the inventory was just that low. And what do I mean when I talk about inventory?
How many homes are available?
How many homes are available? But I don't understand what that means. What do you mean?
How many homes are on the market?
How many homes are on the market now? As real estate advisors, we measure that by months, okay? And what we're basically saying is that if we didn't list any other homes and builders didn't build any other homes, it would take us X amount of months for us to be completely out of inventory.
Right.
So anything below 3 months is considered a seller's market. Anything above 6 months is considered a buyer's market. Anything in between that is a balanced market. I like to call it a sweet spot because nobody is at a pendulum, right? Buyers have choices. We didn't see that a lot last year. Buyers didn't have a lot of options to choose from. So we ran into a lot of conversations, especially with sellers. Well, I don't want to sell my home because there's nothing for me to buy, right? And then at the same time, that was really what was kind of locking a lot of people into position. Well, now that we have more inventory, and I'm getting my data from HAR, also known as Houston Association of Realtors. So this is our governing body here in Houston. And their last pulse check as of July was that we have 4.3 months of inventory. So we're right in that sweet spot, like I said. So what are you seeing from an opportunities perspective as it relates to our clients?
Because there are more homes, more so on the market, and the inventory has increased, I would say that buyers have a very great opportunity right now, depending on how ready and willing and able they are. I mean, I think that there's a very great opportunity to strike, and I mean those who are prepared will take advantage of the opportunity.
And it's so important that we talk about what it looks
Preparation.
like to be ready, willing,
Yeah.
and able. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, we can talk all the ifs and the fifths and oh, this, that, and other, right? However, at the end of the day, if I were to bring a deal to you, whatever a deal looks like for you, in this moment, are you prepared to take action? Do you even know how to get prayer? I was listening to someone, they said, I don't even know how to start.
Yeah, where does the process start?
What is it? How did you even get your down payment? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, step one, you got to open a bank account. And someone may skip over that and say, duh, right? But then the question is, are we doing it, right? We know, we theorize, we intellectualize what we need to do to succeed, but do we actually do? Do you actually have a separate bank account for your down payment?
I think what's so great about that is because we're making it very simple.
Yes.
Making it very simple, making it very clear that, like, do you actually have a separate bank account as far as where the money is going, and are you being consistent with the money you're putting in there, so that when those bank statements get populated, they see, oh, you're adding funds into this account. And it's just the same thing that's just more so for the down payment. Are you doing that with other, more so finances you're looking to put aside as well?
Yeah.
It's food for thought.
I think what you're saying, like, it's almost saying, like, are we commingling? Because that's what that term is, right? When you mix your personal with your business and savings with your checkings, like, are you commingling funds?
I learned that lesson.
Listen,
I learned that lesson.
Yeah, right? This ain't no business. Y'all was at 50-15 on who that was that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in it. I'm not your tax accountant. What I am saying, though, is that there does need to be separation, right? Not just from business and personal if you're a business owner, yet from your day-to-day living to your future self, right? And those accounts really shouldn't be mixed, because what we find is that as long as a card is linked to it, you'll swipe into it. You might just swipe your down payment away. So that's just kind of my tangent on really getting back to the basics of getting into action.
Right.
I love that. I
think that's what, like, as we started the episode, just more so talking about that practicality and saying, like, are you actually not only prepared for the opportunity, but do you actually have steps in place so that you can get into action? Because to me, something that I look to limit as much as possible is paralysis by analysis. I do not want to be overanalyzing the situation or circumstances or work that I need to do, and I'm just sitting in it and saying, well, it's gonna get done, or someone else will do it, someone else will handle it.
Yeah.
And now I'm literally being a deterrent from who I am capable of becoming.
Absolutely. And I believe that we have to make things measurable again.
You got to track it.
We got to start tracking things again. Like, and this is just something that I notice, is that, we're just in a theory world, and everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a mic. We have mics, right? When it comes down to the evidence of success, what are we looking to see? What actually can you tangibly say, these are the things that I've done? These were the results that I got. These were the questions that I had. And this is a real life thing, right? Because I think sometimes we can even try to Google or Chat GPT our way through the problem. And I don't think it works like that. Not for being able to retain and actually apply the information.
And understand it. Because it's almost like, are you actually living by it? Or say somebody asks you, hey, how did you do what you did? And you're like, it's a big question mark there.
Yeah.
Because do you actually understand the process well enough to then educate someone else on it, so that then they can change their circumstances? Like, I was literally just having a conversation about this, and I think it's honestly getting to the point where it's like, let's not assume what people know and don't know.
Yeah.
Because then by making the assumption, it's like, well, now we're both sitting in, I don't know what to tell you, or I don't know where to go with the conversation, because I'm assuming you already knew about this. And it's like, but did they really?
Yeah.
Did they really understand what it was they needed to do to better their circumstances, or to actually put down a sizable amount for a down payment?
Absolutely. One of the things that we look to become, especially as your real estate advisors and just overall your team, your community, is for you to really build a relationship with us that you are comfortable letting us know what you don't know. So that way we don't have to assume. We had a closing, and Randy, the client, was just sharing feedback on the experience. And one of the things that he said, he was like, I think you're talking about debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
And that's a buzzword that we talk about, right? Debt to income
yeah.
ratio. How much money are you earning each month, and how much money are you spending each month? And in his own workings, he kind of had his math messed up, and he was allowing that to disqualify him from purchasing a home or an investment property, actually, because that's what he did.
To then also even piggyback on that, we're talking about tracking your finances or being aware of what money is being spent. This same client who was able to not only afford the closing was also the same client that said, look, I spent a good amount of money. Like we're talking, let's just say well over 30K on just renting, just renting.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, well, how much money do I need to put down on a house to afford it?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it might just look like that $30,000 that was spent over 2 or 3 years.
And you know what's interesting? Because something that I see a lot or I hear a lot is like, well, it's impossible to save. It's impossible to save $30,000. Like, that's good for him, but, I've been trying. And then we have to look at, okay, so what in our lives, when I shared the steps with that person that was saying like, well, how do I even begin? One of the things I mentioned is you might need to get a roommate. You might, if you can, need to move back home. You might need to downsize on your apartment, right? Get rid of that valet, get rid of that thing, all those fancy frills for you to get something that you want.
Let me tell you something. We're talking about real contracts, real people, real deals. I remember when I was 20 years old going to my first job. This is my first career. It's like third job, but it's like third, like actual opportunity where I'm like, oh, I'm about to get paid for real. And so I had to move to Alabama for this. And I was like, well, where can I live at? And what I used to do is I would get the apartment already furnished. So I didn't have to move a couch. I didn't have to move a bed. Some people are like, why would you do that? And it's like, well, I would only look to pay a certain amount so that I could have my living covered or like shelter. At least I had a fridge. I had a bed to sleep on. I was fine.
Yeah.
But I was willing to be uncomfortable so that I can put myself or my family in a better position.
Absolutely. And that's what sacrifice is all about, right? I think that, and we talked about this again, go back and look at season 1. Yeah, we talk about it's very hard to chase 2 rabbits. Yeah. It's hard to chase wealth and play with poverty. It's hard to, build a family and live in the streets, right?
I mean, what you mentioned too is, as you've told us even, right, is that poverty is convenient.
Absolutely. I got in trouble for that too. The people didn't like it. Oh, what do you mean poverty is convenient? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to say that. And I was talking to my sister about it actually even today. And she said the reason that people are able to nickel and dime is because we don't choose mastery.
It goes back to what Gary Keller said in June. He said good is the enemy of great and great is the enemy of mastery.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is mastery?
10,000 hours on the low end. That's starting to even be the minimum, I would say.
Man, let me tell you about 10,000 hours because,
it's math too, though, ain't it? It's math.
The path is in the math. That's definitely something I tell you guys all the time, and I'm sharing it with you as well. The path is in the math, and we can't underestimate mastery. We live in a world where everything looks easy. I could do that. That can't be that hard. Did you see the TikToks when they were like, I didn't get chosen for the Olympics?
I know. I ain't gonna lie. Daryl's hilarious. That brother, that brother is funny. But I did see what you're talking about. Like, it's just, we're making this like, oh, they didn't choose me, they didn't pick me. But it's like, some people were literally like homeless, committing to, I'm going to be an Olympian.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine
for 10 seconds. You're talking about, Noah Lyles won his race in less than 10 seconds. Now, how much time did he put into practice?
Years.
In order to be able to deliver
Decades.
At that moment, right?
Yeah.
Decades. And I think in our own personal lives, in our own business lives, right, we have to ask ourselves, am I looking to master this or am I just looking to dip in and hobby and hustle because this person made a play with it or this person made a play with it? Earlier, you were sharing with me, sometimes we get people that just want us to handle the paperwork, right? And I shared there's no separation there because when people hire us, they're looking to hire us for advice and counsel, right? So we can't just take that away because, you're hiring, so you want me to file bad paperwork?
But it goes back to even what Alan Johnson said. You're not paying me for the X amount of hours that I commit to the transaction or this deal to help you, to service you, right? You pay me for the years of expertise that I have committed to this craft, to this occupation, for me to be able to be compensated, to get paid what I'm worth or what the market says I'm worth.
Absolutely. And I think that's really a real thing. What we really want to do is be able to just maybe be a little bit more transparent with you guys about the stories that we just see on a
Yeah,
day-to-day basis,
experiences,
because
yeah.
we do help real people. And
For
one of the
real.
reasons why we even have this board, whether we use it or not today, is because we understand that there are just some practicalities to the fundamentals of being able to help you get to the next chapter of your life, whatever that chapter may look like, right? And so, what does that look like? What needs to
Making a
happen?
decision, at least for me, at least for me, is that I needed to make a decision on not only the person I wanted to become, the life I wanted to live, who I wanted to be with, what career, what lifestyle I wanted to live. I needed to decide. And then based off of making that decision, it was as if the world fell in place.
You know, I love that. Right? When you put the man together, the world falls in place.
Yeah.
I read something. I read something I wrote, came up on my On This Day, and it said something like, a lot of us believe that the absence of a decision gives us freedom, when in reality, it is the shackle that's holding you back to what you really want in life. Because you cannot move forward because you're steady stuck on square one,
You're
right?
stagnant.
Literally, the brain cannot move forward to the next equation until you make a decision about the first. Good, bad, or indifference. It may be the wrong decision, but you're not going to know that until you make it. And so the way that shows up in real estate, Randy, is that, like I said, I talk to people all the time. And all the time, they're like, next year, next year, next year, next year. I think I should do it. Maybe I should do it. Maybe I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till that taxes. I'm going to wait till school. I'm going to wait till Christmas. I'm going to wait till wait. And they've been waiting for a very long time. Randy, they got 7 lies that people say that keep them from what they want in life. And number one of it is that I can do it at any time. And I think real estate, I think wealth building is a lot like that.
You know, something that I feel like is so powerful though, you know, I think it was a clip, it was like Eddie Murphy, where he was saying, you're lucky if you get 80 summers. You're lucky if you get 85 summers. And it's like, we watch, well, it's like something that I've had to really do within my life is that you can watch as much content as you feel or believe is necessary. And if you do nothing, you will watch your circumstances not change.
Yeah.
It is literally mind-boggling to me. It's like someone says, I want to change my life. Then I say, okay, well, here's a plan. Here's step 1 through 5 on what you need to do based off the circumstances or the context you've given me. You give them this context, and then they're like, I heard you. What you told me was so great, and yet you did nothing.
Right.
That is frustrating. That is frustrating.
I think it's frustrating once you see the other side because you know the potential, right?
Yeah.
Now, so I'm going to give grace to people watching this right now.
Yeah, I'm not.
right?
Yeah, I'm talking about myself.
It's
It's
just-
frustrating if a coach tells you do this and then you don't do it.
Right, but that's because you've reached a level of mastery to your daily routine.
Yeah.
All right, so for example, or you've reached mastery in an area of study. And so anytime that you can be able to speak or preach or teach, it's because you're being able to say, I see this for you, right? And yet there's free will too, right? So we can only share the information, yet at the end of the day, it's up for you to take this and apply it. So that's why when we say things like, okay, how do you make a decision? If you're stuck scrolling right now and watching us on whatever platform that you're watching us on, and this is separate from the other 50 things that you've been watching, I'm just talking about myself. I know none of you
It's
guys do
dopamine.
that,
Yeah, it's
right? I'm
dopamine.
just
Yeah.
talking about me and Randy. That's why we say, okay, well, here's how you win the morning. Here's how you get yourself out of a rut. Here's how you get yourself out of, paralysis analysis, right? And it's very practical. It's getting up in the morning, and I know we say it to children, but it's brushing your face and brushing your teeth and washing your face, right? It's getting up and going for a walk. It's taking a moment to journal and pray. It's getting something to eat. Those are some of the very simple foundational things that we need to do, so that way we can do the big things, because it's very hard to win here and you're failing here. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that if we acknowledge that reality, we can change that reality, right? Ayanna Vincent once said, you got to call a thing a thing. And too often, I believe we're looking to rush people into success and wealth, and
We're not addressing
we're not addressing the pain
or pain points. And that's why I think regardless of what it is, I would say someone is looking to then accomplish, at least for me, is that I needed to make a decision. I needed to decide. If I do not decide, if I do not make it plain on what I want to do, because think about it. If I don't decide to wake up at a certain time, if I don't decide to say I'm going to pray or make this routine, if I don't decide to say I'm going to go work out, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to save $1,000, if I don't say or state these things, I'm going to decide to pay off a credit card. If I don't do that, how can I expect for it to become a reality? I have to decide to actually be consistent within my daily routine. Like I have to decide to limit the distractions. Like let's make it as simple and plain as possible.
Absolutely. So after you decide, Randy, I think you have to commit.
To the decision that you made.
You have to commit to the decision you made. Because again, we've all made a decision, right? Oh, absolutely. I decide I want a wealthy life with a healthy wife and great kids and all of these things. We've decided in our mind, but we haven't committed to it, right? I want a wealthy life, but I haven't committed to saving money. I want a healthy marriage, but I haven't committed to dating. I want a healthy family, but I haven't committed to reading to my children. Whatever it is that you're looking for, right? I want to buy a house. I haven't committed to a real estate agent. Do you understand how that all kind of compounds?
It does.
Like the absence of making a decision and the absence of making a commitment is actually the shackle that's holding you back. And so what we're looking to get you to do is tell you that success is simple, not easy, right? And most of the people that we meet with or talk to that are distracted, it's because they're doing everything they can except these two things. They're, okay, I'm going to decide after I watch 15 more YouTube videos. I'm going to commit after I talk to 25 more real estate agents, right? And that really only impacts you.
I mean, and you and your future self.
And your future self.
And your future self. You got to throw that in there. Like, because my thing is that people say, man, how are you so consistent? Or man, how did you look to get so good or great at speaking? It's like, one, I had to make a decision to be better at the craft that I said I would commit to. And then also, I had to put in the work.
Yeah.
So I had
do
to
the tangible things.
Yeah, you got to do the work. It's like, how can somebody say I want to get in shape, and then you look at them and then you say, have you been eating right? What like have you like just a question?
Why did I fall out of the gym? Well, Chase, did you eat before you came?
Why you pass out?
Yeah.
Like so it's like, what are you committing to? What
Absolutely.
Are you committing to?
I just think, we practice how we play. Randy talked about speaking. We often teach and speak in workshops and doing all those things. And like I said, one of the reasons why we got rid of the chairs is because we're speakers.
Yeah.
And what great keynotes happen from a lounge chair, right? So even the practice of having these conversations with you, right, are the slight yet significant things that we can do to make everything else easier and necessary. What would it look like if, you guys joined us once a week and cut this word?
Yeah, get this word. You gonna get this word.
You gonna catch this word.
But I mean, it's the thing is that in saying this, it's not. At the end of the day, you got to still decide what it is that you personally want. And for me, it looked like, okay, what type of man do I want to be? Yeah. So it was, yes, I had to decide, but it's also like, well, what type of man do I want to be? And then I'm like, okay, now based off of that, I'm able to then decide on the actions that I need to take to get there. Because it's like, do you know what you want? Because what are you exactly committing to if you're not clear on what it is you're looking to do?
So what I'm hearing, because y'all see me, I'm just writing down what I hear, right? First, you got to decide. Then you got to commit. And then you've got to define it, right? Yeah. And even in our business, this is something that we do with our clients, right? Yeah, you want to buy a house. You want to buy real estate. Okay, let's get on the same page of what that looks like. And a lot of times people want to get on the same page, but the page don't exist.
The page don't exist, or there's just too many pages. Because
or it's too many pages.
Because here's the thing.
But the sentence is saying what you need to do, right? We need to all get on the same page.
Yeah.
You can't be on the same page in a book. A same page is a page. It's a page. It's
one page.
It's not. We all need to get on the same pages.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
It's a page. So you got to define what that looks like. I asked you, Randy, when you were making all these decisions, at any point did you write down the type of man that you wanted to be?
Yes. There was, yes. Like,
but
it's
why? Why not just keep it in your head?
Nah, because then me personally, I don't know what to do. Because then it'd be like, all right, I'm just like, I'm pondering on it, yet it's like, have I made it clear? Mm-hmm. And that's why you define it.
It's really powerful to get things out of your mind, right? And a lot of times, especially last year, everybody was like standing on business, right? Well, in business, contracts exist, right? There is a
Yeah.
page of expectations in business, right? There's a receipt, there's a
Deliverables, yeah.
contract with yourself, even if it's just a form of tender, right? That I paid this thing, I received this thing, right? There is something that is written. And I believe a lot of times when we're looking to define ourselves, we skip over that part. And so what ends up happening is that we're chasing something we can't come back to.
Right.
One of the things that I think is powerful, especially when you journal, if you don't journal, when you look at your on this day at Facebook, you can
That's
see
true. That's really good.
where your mind was at.
That's really good. Yeah.
You can, oh Lord, 20-year-old me was
because
annoying.
It shows that was annoying. It's crazy, but it shows you exactly who you are, who you said you were.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of the proof.
Yeah.
And that's why, to me, I used to always talk about like documenting the process,
Mm-hmm.
because it was just like, well, the most I can do at this point in time with what I have is at least document it. I'm
Yeah.
showing you this is my process. It's not pretty. It's not perfect. This is me.
So,
You know?
oh, this is me. I did that. I did that for myself. I just kind of was like, man, you just gotta have some come to
Yeah.
Jesus meeting. Like, we gotta get comfortable with having a come to Jesus meeting with ourselves, with the people that we care about. Like, this is me, right?
Yeah.
We would save ourselves a lot of time if we would just say, this is me. Now let's make a decision about that. Even in getting into business, Randy, I honestly know that not everybody is for us. That's why I'm okay when people don't say yes, because I know the law of averages. I know the numbers. I know that not everybody that watches this is going to press subscribe. I know not everybody that calls us is going to sign a contract. I know that not everybody wants to buy a house will. And the reason is because it's not about the other person, it's about you. And so if you're not able to decide, commit, and then define what that looks like, chances are none of that will exist. I don't know what the opposite of all these words, but I'm pretty sure somebody that watching this can put this in their phone and figure out what the opposite is, right? And you get to choose that, right?
Well, I mean, if you're not deciding, I mean, even if we're to work through it right now, it's like, okay, if I'm not being explicitly clear with what it is that I'm looking to accomplish or achieve, what am I then doing? It's almost like I'm living afloat. Like if I'm not deciding, I'm drifting. That's what it is. If I'm not deciding, I'm drifting. If I'm not committing, I'm
Wandering.
contemplating.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'll get to it. I'm procrastinating. If I'm not defining it, then I'm thinking, it's like, if I'm not defining it.
So here's what it says. Here's what people say. The opposite of define is ambiguity.
Not clearly defining your goals, plans, or actions.
Of course, the
yeah.
opposite of decision is indecision, failing to
Yeah.
make a firm commitment. And the opposite of commit is procrastinate.
Procrastinate.
All right. And so you can actually look, right, when we're asking, okay, well, what type of person, I know we talk about it all the time, like, well, what is your ideal client? What does talent look like? What does a mentor look like, right? You have to ask yourself, are you looking to be mentored by somebody who's ambiguous about life and indecisive and procrastinates? Like, does that sound like the type of person that you would want to be in alignment with?
No.
But we do that.
A lot.
We do that a lot.
Yeah, or we tolerate certain things from other people that we don't tolerate from ourselves. And I think, like, as much as I would like to say, oh yeah, my personal life doesn't affect my business life, how can that even be true if my personal life is in shambles and I'm like, I'm running a successful business? But for how long? Is it sustainable?
Yeah, right?
Is it sustainable?
You made it a hot line. We're trying to help you make a hot song. That's how it goes. You don't know nothing about that, though.
Nah, not at all.
You guys know where that linear came from. Anyways, so we got some questions for you, right? What's the one thing that you need to make a decision about right now? Right now. And you've got,
You got
probably 20
seconds.
seconds to do this.
Just
And
decide.
I would tell you to write what your spirit says, because you already know, right? We need to get back into simplicity. As you mentioned, this is not a long project. There's something right now. There's one thing that you need to make a decision about. I don't care what it is. Write that down, right? The second thing is you need to make a decision to commit to something, right? This may be some education. This may be coaching. This may be exercising. This may be praying. This may be going to the grocery store. This might be the one thing that we need you to do so that way we can move forward. Because, Randy, we're going to start talking about some big stuff. We're going to start definitely talking about wealth. We'll start talking about money, real estate, plays, strategies, all that stuff that you want. But guess what? None of that means anything if you fail on the fundamentals. So we got to bring it back to the fundamentals before we can run. Because what I realized is a lot of people got on Crocs and they trying to run a 100-meter dash like Noah Lyles, and they got Crocs on. And I don't know, I've never seen him running Crocs, but I would assume that's not the best way to win a gold medal.
At all.
And y'all want to win gold medals, right?
Right.
All right, awesome. What you got for us, Randy? I didn't really finish going over the numbers about what's happening in real estate. We did talk about where we are in the market, and we also should talk about, because we just want to give you guys a marker, right? You're going to go back and watch this. Average real estate price right now in 2024 is $350,000. That's actually up from last year of $340,000. So then again, when we talk about the cost of indecision,
$10,000.
$10,000.
$10,000.
And it's not just $10,000, Randy.
Not.
It's actually $10,000 financed over 30 years at X%. And that is where we're looking to get you guys to, right? Because we got to get to a place where we're not just looking at payments, right? Like monthly payments, whether mortgage payments or car notes, but we're actually looking in totality the amount of debt that you're taking on to accomplish this goal. So a lot of reasons why we say, okay, you need to make a decision about real estate. If you're going to sell, you need to sell. If you're going to buy, you need to buy, because the longer that you wait, it does monetarily cost you, opportunity cost you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so when we're looking to say, okay, you want to do all of these things, and I'm just going to share for me, Randy. I know people always say, what's the best decision that you've made? And I'm hands down going to say the first home. But it's not because of all the things that people talk about, like equity, and those are really great. I haven't tapped into those things yet, right? I know I have it, and sometimes I lay down at night and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good knowing that
That you could tap into it.
at any given at any given moment, I do have this, right? Real estate is a forced savings for a lot of people. The reason why I say that's the best decision I've made is because it's been such a place of stability for me, because life be life. And after these cameras go off and I get back out there and in pothole streets and I'm on my way home, right? There is a peace and a comfort that comes with knowing that at least I got this thing done, right?
Facts.
I bought my home in 2015, right? And I thank God I did when I did, because I'll admit the numbers look crazy now, right? But that's what we know about real estate, is the numbers are always moving. So it's very hard to say or expect that you can wait any given period of time and then all the variables are going to be the same, whether interest rates or sales price or inventory or neighborhoods or your life, your income, your expenses, right? And that's when I say when I life be lifing, because I work with sellers mostly. Randy works with our buyers. And, you know, I have these conversations of people that are near bankruptcy, right? They've been laid off. They've been let go. The job just wasn't great for their mental health. And yet they have this commitment, right? Commitment doesn't mean perfection. Commitment doesn't mean you have all these problems disappear. It just means that, okay, I made a commitment to something. And being able to walk someone through their options. So I'll give you an example. We had a client that was recently laid off, right? And I could hear this pressure, but I couldn't understand, like, what's the problem? There's something they're not telling me. And finally they were like, you know, I think I'm going to get laid off and I don't want to lose the house in foreclosure. Now, foreclosure can stick with you for 3 years, right? So even after you recover and you get your life back on track, you still have this thing on your credit report.
Right.
I was able to educate him in that moment that you actually have options. And one of those options, for example, is like a forbearance. And a forbearance is when you communicate with your mortgage company and let them know that you are in a financial hardship.
Right.
And depending on your mortgage company, they may be able to give you a 3-month reprieve. They may even be able to extend it out to 6 months. They may be able to remodify your loan. They may be able to put those payments on the back of your loan. You have a lot of options, which when money stops coming in, you need. Now, can you imagine, and again, this is no judgment, yet in the same scenario, if you lost your job today and you had an appointment, how much time do you believe that they would give you to figure it out?
Man, not even a week. What?
Not even a week.
What? I'm telling you, it's serious.
And
it's very serious.
And this is where my heart grows, because I know that real estate is so much more than the photos that you guys may see on our Instagram page. With each person that we partner with, I know that we are solving a bigger problem in their life. When we sell their home, we are unlocking that equity so that they can go ahead and pay off the debt that they need to pay off, or move into whatever it is that they need to do to move forward. So the reason why we stress decision is because all of this is not just about real estate. This is about being able to strategically navigate life.
Yeah.
Because
the thing is like, it shows up, in my opinion, in more ways than one. So it's like, you're not making decisions in your personal life. Are you going to make decisions in regards to business or the other priorities, or, just situations that you need to decide in? And, even for me, like, sometimes when I say that work I avoided, that homework that I necessarily had to do, and then I don't do it, you feel like, what's that stress? Like, why do I feel a little anxious? Where's that coming from? Then I'm like, oh, it's because I got some unmade decisions.
What if anxiety is just a measuring cup of all the things that you have not made a decision about? Because if you just made a decision, you can move forward. Like sometimes they'll ask me, it's like, do you like this one or this? I wear contacts. And I remember I used to go to the eye doctor, and he used to have this little thing, and he'd be like, which one looks fuzzy, 1 or 2?
What's your side quest, man?
Because I would get tired of him asking me a question. I would just make a decision, because I spend so much time like, well, I mean, I kind of, number one, move on, right? But that was almost a hack on decision making. If you want a hack to making a decision, make one. Because what kept me from making it, and maybe you can relate, yet if you're like me, the reason why we don't make decisions is because we're fearful of what's on the opposite side. And so you scrounge and you scurry looking to gather information. And if I just read this thing and I talk to one more person, I'll be able to feel more confident. But then they're just adding more variables and information. So you still aren't making a decision. And now you're just weighed down by information, and you take a nap. And then that cycle repeats itself.
Even sometimes too, something that I had to learn this last year is that some of those things that either could appear as opportunities or decisions that you need to make, I had to learn how to stop saying, I had to learn to start saying no. I had to learn to start saying no, like, this opportunity is not for me.
Yeah.
Or it's not in the budget. Or I simply just don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to do it.
And the reason is because anytime that you say yes, you're saying no to something else.
Yep.
And so, Randy, I'm going to leave them with this. I challenge you guys to do a few things. Give you guys some homework until the next week that you see us, right? Number one, I want you to define, I actually want you to work this backwards. I want you to define what this next quarter can look like for you. What are your goals, and what is it that you actually are looking to do, and where do you need help? And write those things down and look at yourself and just be honest with yourself. I like to tell the team all the time, you get what you deserve in your imagination. And if you can't write it down, it's probably because there's a limiting belief tapped somewhere inside of you that makes you feel like you're not worthy, you're not capable, and that it's not for you. And I'm here to tell you that's a lie. So the first thing that needs to happen is for you to define. Great, because I didn't know.
So I think for me, what I also needed to do in regards to how I was defining things was that I wrote at the top of a page, like, what type of man do I want to be? Or what type of life do I want to live? Or like, okay, I have this amount of, say, debt. Or, okay, for July, I do July P&L. So what I'm doing is I'm getting explicitly clear on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what it needs to look like.
Yeah. And a good test is someone that you care about. Give the list to them. And can they tell what you're talking about or writing about, right? Or can they follow the play, right?
Yeah.
That's something that's important too, and that just in form of leadership, because a lot of times I think that right before you can lead anybody else, you have to lead yourself. And that's something that I believe when we're talking about making an impact or anything else, we have to first practice the work ourselves, right? So do the work, write it down, define who it is that you're looking to do. If you're looking to make a play in real estate, define what that is and when that happens. By definition, a goal is from X to Y by blank, right? So you got to put a timeline on it. The second thing that we did, we talked about is committing. So I think that looks a lot like accountability. You can talk about that.
So for me, in the first book that I published is Habits, Accountability, and Consistency, right? It was to then equal the hack method of how to look to hack your mind to then hack your body. And what I looked to do was that I want to be very clear in whatever habits I need to then develop to then live a greater life. I need to hold myself accountable, hold myself to a higher standard in order to then grow, just become more disciplined, become someone of a higher standard. And then I need to be consistent because even if I have the right habits that'll allow me to grow or improve and I hold myself accountable, if I'm not then consistent, how what type of foundation am I building?
Absolutely.
And how will I grow or improve if I'm not being consistent to what I said I was going to do?
Yeah. And you bring people in, bring people in as well, because I'll tell you, so much, in my opinion, comes from fear, right? Because if you had faith in all these things, and I'll tell you, the things that hold us back is not our know-how. We're very intelligent. I say that all the time. We work with the smartest people.
Yeah.
We're in business with the smartest people. We are aligned with the smartest people, right? And with intelligence comes fear, comes shame, because you know you should have been doing it, but you haven't been doing it. And I don't want to tell nobody I ain't been doing it because they think I've been doing it. And so you shame yourself into stagnancy, right? Or you fear yourself into stagnancy because maybe you've never done it before. No one's taught you how to do it. What if you look stupid, right? And so I think that we have to work and peel all of those layers back in order for us to really start moving forward. It's like they say with the bow and arrow, you got to pull back so that way you can launch forward. And that's what we're looking to do.
And I mean, something that appears, because a lot of times when we hear the word like compound interest, I would like to think about it like it doesn't only compound money, it compounds within your personal life as well. Meaning that, okay, if you decide, okay, for me, I decided that I really just don't like alcohol like that. So I don't drink that much. I don't drink at all. Roughly, you might see me a little wine, something with peach in it, right? Something, But you know what I'm saying? So here's the thing though, right? Is that because it's not the alcohol. That's not what it is. It's, first of all, you got to decide to then pay for that alcohol. Now you're paying a price. Now you're paying with money. Then now you say that, oh, I care so much about my health. Now you're not really, say you're not watching or being intentional with how much you're drinking. So now you have to pay the price tomorrow when you say you was going to go to the gym.
Absolutely.
So for me, I had to decide that it's like, okay, does this actually help me?
Yeah.
If it helps you or if there's an added benefit to it, by all means. But if not, why keep doing it?
And it could be with anything. And when you talk about results compounding, I remember they said like, sometimes people will dismiss your success and they'll say something like, well, of course Steven Spielberg gets paid a lot of money. He's Steven Spielberg. But he gets paid a lot of money because of who he is, Steven Spielberg. And who he is what he does, right? The getting up every morning and writing a screenplay or whatever it is that movie writers do. And he does that in a way often enough that it compounds to where people are willing to pay him a high amount of money for their work. So anything that we want to do in life, for me, family is very important to me. The idea of coming home and being home. I shared it with you, Randy. I said you want to do your double time, part time, so you can have full time playtime. And I remember you were like, well, what does that mean? I said, well, a lot of times, and I'm just speaking to my business owners here, so everybody else, it's not for you, right? As business owners, a lot of times we can allow ourselves to be pulled and led by the people that we serve. And this can carry on from the first moment that you wake up at 6 a.m. to the time that you go to bed. And you're running and you're pulling, you're answering messages and you're doing this thing. And then meanwhile, the people that you say that you're doing it all for are just sitting there waiting, hoping at some point you'll acknowledge them or say hello, go to the park. And I didn't want that, right? I wanted to be able to say that when I got home, that if my child had a cheerleading camp or football practice, that I would be there. And so I remember early in my career, and I brought my friends in too, and I was like, 6 o'clock, I'm done working. And people will tell you that's unheard of for real estate, right? They're like, no, I work until midnight and all over the weekend. And I was like, that's not a life that I want. That's not my designed life. And so I had to be able to start practicing by not answering the text. And guess what? In the morning, I answered the text. Part of that freedom came the responsibility of following up, and you can train, and that compounded. So now here I am, 5 years later, and I don't work at night. I don't work on the weekends. I don't work without appointment because that was the life that I wanted for myself. So the reason why we say get very clear on these things, define these things, because what life looks like for you, what abundance looks like for you, may not be anything that you see on the internet right now. Abundance for you might just, be able to take a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's okay, but then you've got to build a world that supports that vision, right? You got to be able to build a world that says, I want to take 2 trips or 3 trips a year. So what's the work I have to do to earn that right? And then after you set those goals, then you start to identify your priorities. So what must I do? If for Randy, it's not drinking, or for me, it's not staying out all night, or not answering questions at 8 o'clock when I'm watching Monsters and Aliens with my niece, right? But I don't get that time back.
Yeah.
She's only 4 once. So if that's what she wants to do and she looks over at me, then I've got to be able to be present enough to laugh at the joke and know what's going on, because I don't get that back. You don't get to go back, right? So if you don't define the goal, if you don't outline the priorities, and then if you don't get accountable to the strategies, then my friends, you're just wandering.
You're drifting. And let me tell you what that looks like. Whether that's drifting or whether that's like, we'll first start with drifting. To me, it's the distractions that I decide I will commit to that take away from my goal, that take away from my family, that take away from my peace.
Yeah.
I am drifting. I'm just like, damn, where did that hour go? Where did those 2 hours go? Like, and it to me, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you think that one day doesn't compound into either the next couple of days or the next week or the next month or the next year. And now, in regards to when we're talking about setting a goal, what that looks like, at least for me, is that I needed to decide what that one thing was.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about the course of a year, probably either maybe 1 or 2 goals. Because at that point, like, what's going to happen is you're setting these goals, but then you have to have enough priorities involved to accomplish the goal. But now if you're setting a big enough goal, it may just stretch you the whole entire year.
Yeah.
But that year you made so much progress, because it doesn't have to be perfect. So you talk about progress over perfection.
Yeah.
You make so much progress that it's now like, that just catapulted me into the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
But if we don't demolish and just like, if we don't accomplish, like absolutely just feed into that first year, I believe it then makes year 3 and year 5 harder. So that's why you set 1 or 2 goals that you're actually able to then accomplish, and then you set the next few priorities that allow you to accomplish the goal, and then now you need to set the actual strategies that then allow you to accomplish the priorities, which then allow you to accomplish the goal.
And the good news is we help you with that, right?
Period.
Because this is not something I think people really talk about and think about a lot. So if this is something that maybe tripped you out, shoot us a DM, hit a comment. A few things that you said that I wanted to add is that we talked about winning the morning so you can win the day. And we talked about one of the lies that we tell ourselves is, I can do it tomorrow. Well, my friends, if you do it tomorrow, that means you've already lost the day. And how can you win the week if you're 20% in the deficit? So when we talk about why now is your time, it is because if you know, you know, the longer that you wait, the deeper in debt that you are. And the debt is not to a lender, the debt is to your future self. And you owe you, right? And so we got to get you out of that. And then the other thing that I was going to share with you is that we overestimate what we can do in a year, and then we grossly underestimate what can happen in 5 years. So I get it. You started this thing, you said you were going to be this person, you gave it a year, it didn't work, and now you're thinking to yourself like, oh, that was just a gimmick, that was just a hack. I'm here to tell you that you're just getting started. You're just scratching the surface. We began this conversation that it takes 10,000 hours, which if you do the math is close to a decade. So I challenge you that if you haven't put in 10 years, then baby, you just getting started. Come back to me when you have. Then let's talk about the challenges that you faced and if this is really what you want to do. But commit to the thing and give it a chance to play out and give yourself a chance to fail through it, because none of us know what we're doing. And that's the good part, right? But the only way that you'll get through mastery is if you first start with the foundation and then you go through the habits and the actions and the discipline and all those things, the commitment that is needed so you can reach the other side and share your story with the world. Randy, any closing thoughts?
I think, I got a couple. I do got a couple. What I will say that I really do find interesting is that I would never want to be my own worst enemy, right? And I think that it is, I guess at times it may feel it's easier for us to then look to play the victim instead of the victor. I remember while I was overseas in Kuwait for the military, I did over, I believe, 230 interviews. And in one of the interviews, something that he told me, he said that when we are born, we look like our parents. And when we die, we look like our decisions. And so it's like we commit, and we say we're committing to whatever it is that we want to accomplish. And then we go about life like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get to it, I promise you. And it's like, well, now you're not keeping your word to yourself. Yeah. And that's both in word and that's both in deed. And because of that, you're like, why don't I feel as confident? Why don't I feel as certain in the words that I'm saying? It's because I'm not doing the work. Yeah. And that to me is very, very painful. Like very, very painful. And I think it's also because, as you mentioned, pulling people in is because I've committed and I've said that this is something that I will accomplish to more than one person. Yeah. And so now I'm thinking and I'm sitting like, what happens if I don't get this done?
Right.
What happens if I don't get this done? Is it only me who suffers? Or is it everyone else who said that I thought you were this person? Yeah. And you told me that you were this person and yet you didn't do the work. That's painful to me. Because now I got to go back. You talking about shame? You talking about shame? I got to go back to them and say, well, I know I said I was going to do this and this happened and I'll do better next year. It's like, so you going to let a whole nother year just be like, oh, this is my year. This is my time. When it's like,
you could have done it today. And I think that, all of this is about character building, right?
It is.
This is not about what we do. All right. I tell Randy all the time, I'm not really here to teach class or a master class on how to do real estate. That's a very complicated thing. You need to get the real estate license so you can understand it. What we'd like to do and lead you to do is to teach you how to think about all areas of your life. And not just in real estate, but like you said, in your personal life, your finances, your health, your spiritual relationship with God, all of those things, to just be a little bit more intentional about it. Because as you tighten up on that, people can rest in the woman that you said you are, or the man that you said you are, even when it gets scary. There are times, even with Randy and I, where I doubt and I fear, but I trust the character of who he is versus the uncertainty of what I have. And so I can rest in that. So we want you guys to get clear on your future self, because I promise it's going to make every episode easier. So do the work, do the homework. Like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you guys. We are BetOnTCREG, your full service real estate team here in Houston, Texas, and anywhere around the world that you're looking to do, buy, sell, real estate, invest. We definitely want to be those go-to advisors for you. And before we can do that, we want to earn a relationship with you. So hit that follow button, send us your questions. Randy, I think it's time to close out. It might be.
No. We definitely do appreciate your time and attention, and we promise you there's definitely more to come. Let's get it. We are BetOnTCREG.
You guys have a great week.